Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. After Prime Minister François Bayrou was ousted in a dramatic vote of no confidence on Monday, France could now face its fifth Prime Minister in under 2 years, leaving President Emmanuel Macron navigating a political and economic storm. Now, with the country's debt soaring above 3.4 trillion euros and far left and far right forces gaining momentum, we explore what comes next. Joined now by Denis Kolesnyk, President, MENA Research Center. Good to have you on TVP World. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Denis, just give us your assessment. How serious, after Monday's vote, the territory win, how serious of a crisis is this for France?
Listen, the crisis actually happened long before the no confidence vote. At least when there were snap elections announced, it was already a crisis, a huge crisis actually. And the results showed that we are in this deep crisis. And we can even go back to 2022 if you want to talk about the crisis in our French politics. So to be honest, what is happening right now, if I'm not mistaken, I have already said it last year here at your studio, saying that we will be facing changing governments that will last for a few months, maybe up to a year, until the 2027 elections. So what is happening right now is there is nothing new and nothing unexpected. Let's to be honest.
Okay. In your mind, it's rooted in history, nothing new, nothing unexpected. So in that case, what is the next step here? I mean, are we going to repeat the same thing? Another prime minister, snap elections? What's your take? What's the next move here by Macron?
The French President Emmanuel Macron, he has a few choices in front of him. One of the choices it is to dissolve again the National Assembly under the Article 12 of the French Constitution. He has the right to do it because since the last dissolution, more than a year has passed. So legally he can do this, but most likely he will not do this due to the fact that Rassemblement National, the National Rally Party, support is growing, and right now, according to different polls, they are staying at around 31 to 33% of support, which is the highest support if we talk about all other political parties. And I guess it's not in Emmanuel Macron's interest to dissolve the parliament. The second issue is to nominate another prime minister to deal with the budget, because the adoption of the budget is the most pressing issue right now. But yet again, given that after the snap election, we don't have President Macron doesn't have a majority, actually, a decisive majority. He has this somehow coalition consisting of parts of the right, left, and centrist parties, which is quite unstable, and we see it. So, Emmanuel Macron also said that he will try to nominate the new prime minister in the days to come. So he will not postpone the decision. He will not be waiting long.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's an element of politics in this, obviously, quite heavily that weighs on this. But I'm curious about the economics. So you said historically, let's look at that angle, because this is something, I mean, not necessarily Bayrou's fault, right? He was one of those people trying to fix this, trying to step in. And he even said it, right? He wants to fix this debt so other future generations don't have to. Looking at these numbers here, I mean, France's deficit approaching 6%, already debt servicing, looking at billions of euros in the next few years. So why is this can being kicked down the road, and what can be done really to fix this, and who's going to be doing that?
You know, it's quite complicated yet again. The best way it would be to adopt at least the revised budget for the next year. It would be a smart way to do and try to deal with the let's say economic issues and especially the growing deficit after the 2027. It would be like the most, I would say, natural way to do. But obviously we cannot leave the issues as it is, given that, as you have already said, we have 114% of debt compared to our GDP. We have a deficit of 5.3 or 5.4%, which is a huge, and we don't fulfill the European Union obligations to keep the budget deficit under the 3 below the 3% of GDP. So the question is quite difficult, but at the same time, we have the political speculations. Have a look at the left, for example, the Mélenchon party, the welfare state, and moreover, the economic crisis that we are observing right now is also the consequence of the welfare state, because, France is a welfare state, and before we had the economy to sustain it. But today the economy is no longer at this point, and we have to work with the population. We have to work with my fellow French countrymen to convince them that we have to make concessions, that we can no longer go with the welfare state as it used to be. Something should be done, and we can no longer tax the business, because we are the country with one of the highest taxes in Europe as well, which kills the initiative, for the businessman to drive the economy. So two issues have to be addressed: is the cutting the welfare state, and also cutting the taxes and making the business easier to do.
But as you said, this is something that will require the people to accept this. We already know that there are, let's say, supportive people demonstrating yesterday, bloc à tout, so blocking everything as opposition to any austerity measures that Beirut had suggested. Also, unions calling, I think, for protests on the 10th, so tomorrow, and then on the 18th. Really, I think also, again, as a warning sign to any kind of government, new prime minister response. But also, I want to jump into defense. I mean, this is also important for Europe. I mean, Macron has put himself out there, also supporting Ukraine, partnerships with Germany and Poland. I'm just wondering what also all this political turmoil means for the Weimar Triangle, for defense commitments that France has stepped into the limelight. Let's say, how much in danger are those things from not really carrying forward in the future?
Yes, you have rightly said. And you know what? We need to project credibility. And Emmanuel Macron, he was trying to do this. And in my opinion, he was quite successful in doing this. In supporting Ukraine, we have re-established ourselves as one of the European Union leaders. We have, let's say, improved our relations with Central Eastern Europe. And there is much more confidence in France in this part of the world than it used to be. But at the same time, given that we have quite fragile political situation at home, and 2027 elections looming, even if we, let's put it this way, provide and do promises and and trying to push strong regarding Russia-Ukraine war, regarding other projects within the NATO, or promising support to other countries in Central Eastern Europe, how credible are we if domestically we cannot manage? So I guess our first priority right now is to manage the domestic political situation, to create stability, and to bring this stability, in my opinion, and to be honest, I'm a proponent of a parliamentary republic, because even though we in France, we have quite a bad historical, experience with parliamentary republic, but we should be moving towards more parliamentary republic, because the Fifth Republic under the constitution, under the current constitution, we see that it is quite difficult to work and to address the problems. So I guess we have to be introducing the constitutional reform in some future in order to address the situation. But it is my personal opinion, and yet again, I'm a proponent of this.
All right. I think also in the immediate term, France will try and seek stability. I mean, President Macron, those moves will be really critical. Let's say he goes the route of setting up and choosing a new prime minister. I mean, who would that be, from which side, which will be acceptable now, from which political camp that person could come from?
I obviously don't have a crystal ball, neither do you. But there are some speculations, some rumors, and one of such candidates could be Sébastien Lecornu, or, for example, Catherine Vautrin from the centrist. Yeah, let's say the centrist, a strong centrist candidate, in order at least to pass the budget bill. Even though the government may fall within 3 months. But the budget bill should be passed, and it is quite important to do. But yet again, until Emmanuel Macron announces the person, nobody will know it.
And obviously, I mean, you have very much on Macron's heels politically, tactically, the far right, the National Rally. They're going to be wanting to push very much into power more and more. How much of this now is already part of a presidential campaign for France? Has this already begun now?
Obviously, I mean, in my opinion, since the last year's snap election, the campaign for the presidential election has already begun. And with the growing support for the Rassemblement National and far-right movements, we may be facing in future the right or far-right government, and at least definitely the parliament will be much more on the right side, not on the left side.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of political turmoil at the moment. There's going to be a lot resting on President Macron's shoulders. And as you said, lots needs to be done. Maybe that's reform, maybe it's another take care of government, or maybe elections, we'll have to see. But for sure, it will keep all of us very busy observing it all. Look, really appreciate all those insights. It's a pleasure speaking here. That was our guest here, Denis Kolesnyk from MENA Research Center. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here. There's much more coming up right here on TVP World.